So when you first log into our app, this is the first screen it brings you to. It quickly lets you know whether you're connected or disconnected to an ELD by this bar, as well as this icon. And this icon can be in 3 different states. It can look like it does here, letting me know that I am disconnected. It can be flashing, letting me know that I'm attempting to connect, or it can look like a radio tower with waves coming off of it, letting you know that I am currently connected. We have the name of the driver here. We have the vehicle and the trailer that they're in. And we also have the flag for the rule set that they're currently on. Now, if you click anywhere in this area, it will bring up our switch equipment screen. And if you needed to pick up a different trailer or drop this trailer, we can go ahead and drop this trailer by clicking the X. And then we can click on where it says trailer name, choose the trailer that we want to pick, and then click add. And then once you see it underneath here as an attached trailer, you can then click save.
Question about that. What if there is no trailer currently attached, or no cab?
You don't need to have a trailer attached, so you can have none.
Okay.
So if I wanted to have none, I can have none. Same with vehicle. You can also remove the vehicle so you're not associated with the vehicle as well.
Okay.
To change your duty status, you click over here in this box near where it says off duty, and it gives us a whole bunch of options. Now for this driver, I have everything enabled that can possibly be enabled. So off duty, sleeper, driving, on duty, not driving, as well as start break are standard and will be there for every single driver. If you remember from earlier, we can add personal use or personal conveyance and yard moves for drivers when upon creation, or if we needed to edit and add it later, we can do that. And then well site is there because of an exception I have enabled for this driver. If you want to change your duty status, all you need to do is select the duty status you want to change to and then click save. We already have a location in here. Odometer will populate when I'm connected to an ELD device, and notes are optional. And you see that this truck as well as this bar have turned green, letting me know I have plenty of time left until violation. They turn yellow under 3 hours and red under 1 hour as you're approaching a violation. If you needed to start your brake, you can click on start brake. Then you can choose the type of brake that you want to start. We have a whole bunch of different options to choose from, some in off duty, some in sleeper. Most commonly used is the 30 minutes of off duty. You can also set an audible alarm if you wanted to set an alarm for when this duty time or this break time is satisfied. You can have the tablet or phone beep at you once it is complete. And then you can click start break. And it will start counting down from that 30 minutes. That's the minimum amount of time required to constitute a break. Recap, if you remember, this was available on the portal site as well, on the logs page, but it lets me know how many hours I've worked today, how many hours I've worked since my reset, and how many hours I currently have available as of right now. Along those same lines, I'm going to jump down to shift cycle. This is what we call our 4 clocks, and it gives you your drive, shift, cycle, and then the 4th clock is either time left on break or time left until violation, depending on what state you're currently in. This is also an option for our lock screen. So once you drive over that 5 miles an hour or the 8 kilometers per hour threshold, a lock screen drops down and locks the app down. It does not lock the phone or tablet down, but it does lock the app down. And we have 2 options for that lock screen. One is a big digital clock that lets you know time remaining until violation. And the second one is this. It's our 4 clocks that gives you your drive, shift, cycle. And then this one would be time remaining until violation when you were in a driving state. Next section we'll go into is roadside inspection. If your driver ever gets pulled over, this is the section they would need to feel fairly comfortable with. This is where they would have to produce their logs to the officer. To do that, you can click Start Review. and you can produce the logs for the officer right here on the tablet. So this pulls up today. It has all of the pertinent information you need here at the top. It has the grid chart in the middle, and then all the transitions that have happened throughout the day down below as well. And you can go to days in the past by clicking this large arrow at the top if you wanted to look at other days, for example. The second way that you can provide your logs to the officer is via a data transfer. We do have instructions here, so if the driver forgets how to use data transfer, we also have tap for instructions. But we can click on data transfer. It will pull up all of the vehicles that I've been in over the past 7 days plus the current day because I'm on a US cycle. We'll then click proceed, and it gives us 4 options: Bluetooth, USB, email, as well as web services. The top 2 you do not need a data connection for. The bottom 2 you do need a data connection for. And the prompts are slightly different following this from here on for you to actually send your logs via one of these 4 options. And then the third way you can produce your logs to the officers is to email them directly to the officer. The only thing about emailing logs directly to an officer is you can only email certified logs. So you cannot email the current day because you're currently working and therefore it's not certified, but you should, if you are certifying your logs on a regular basis, be able to email them the previous 7 days. And this final button brings up our DVIR history, and I'll get to what that looks like when I get to the DVIR section.
For the email logs, can you send 14 days, or is it just 7?
For depending on what cycle you're on. So for the US, it would just be the 7 days, but for some Canadian cycles, it would be the 14 plus the current day.
Okay.
It just depends. Like, because I'm in the US, it's only pulling the last 7 days plus the current day.
Okay.
You can also change your language between English, French, and Spanish here. So if an officer wants to see the logs in a different language, you can do that here as well. This area is password protected. This is to protect the driver, as we do not call out violations in roadside inspection mode, but we do call them out in other portions of the app. Like this would be bright red with all zeros if they were currently in violation. And then also on the logs page, there'll be red ovals with numbers in them or orange ovals with numbers in them, depending on the violation and the country at which the violation happened. Options is the next section. This is where you can do a whole bunch of stuff with the logs itself, or with the app itself, I should say. So switch equipment we have in the most locations. We actually have this in 4 locations within the app. As you can see, it brings up that same screen I showed you from the home screen. Shipping docs, this was available on the portal as well. You can enter in a bill of lading or a manifest number, as well as a shipper or commodity. And also you can add multiple shipping docs here. Remark is like a note you want to have associated with the log. You can enter in the note here. We also have off-road and toll road here, and they are also available on the lock screen for the driver. Manage co-drivers is for team driving. So if you have more than one driver in the vehicle at any given time, they all need to be logged into the same tablet or phone. Whatever driver is considered the current driver, so this driver, all driving events will go onto this driver's log. If you needed to make this co-driver the current driver, you would make them the driver, or you could view their logs, or you could log them out, or you could log on another driver if you needed to. Gain time. This lets me know when my shift resets and when I'm going to gain my time back. Anytime I ever do end user training, I always harp on this button. I say, listen, if you're ever trying to cut your shift to exactly the amount of off-duty time that you need, double check this and make sure it says NA shift reset complete or reset complete. then you'll know that you're good to go for your shift. If it says, today at, 3 p.m., for example, then wait 2 minutes and check it again and make sure it says NA reset complete, because we do calculate everything down to the fraction of a second. Exceptions. Here are all the exceptions for the US because that's where I'm currently in. Anytime you take an exception, you do have to enter in a reason for taking that exception. Data transfer is the same thing we saw from the roadside inspection screen. Documents. If I click on documents and then I click on add here at the top, we can then take a picture. Click OK at the top. And then it will bring up our document screen. So then we can choose the type of document, whether it's a bill of lading, accident photo, citation, scale ticket, invoice, proof of correction, or other. We'll say this is a bill of lading. We can enter in a reference number and/or notes. And once we're satisfied with the picture, we can go ahead and click OK at the bottom. And then this is sent back to the portal with no other action needed by the driver, assuming a data connection or next time a data connection is made. Split off sleeper berth pairing. If you want to use optimistic clocks, you would want to use this button. This would create the optimistic clocks and would stop the clocks upon off-duty and/or sleeper berth qualifying events. And then the last button just returns you back to the home screen. The next section we have is logs. This is where you can view your logs. This is where you can certify your logs. This is where you can edit your logs. So to certify a log, you will click here to certify. When I do that, I'm going to let you know that we have pending edit requests. If you remember from this morning, I made a few edits to my log. So I have this icon up here letting me know I have pending edit requests. And if I try to certify a log, it's going to pop up that button with all the pending edit requests. And you have to make actions upon your pending edit requests before you can certify a log. So let's go ahead and let's go through and accept and reject some of these. It lets me know that the log is certified, so it needs to uncertify it first. We need to put in a reason, or an annotation, I should say. Why don't we reject this one? Click yes. We can accept this one. And click yes. And then this last one we'll reject. And now it will let me certify the log. It asks me if it's true and correct. I go ahead and I agree. It generates a PDF and will let me know that it's successful down here. Now, if you needed to edit your log, you can go into like today, for example. You click anywhere here on the grid chart. It will pull up our editing screen. And we can go ahead and make edits. So for example, maybe this on-duty event, I was actually still off-duty, which is this event that we see right here. I can click on the pencil off to the side. We can choose off-duty. We'll enter in a note. We will select a reason. Sorry, we will select a reason. Incorrect status selected, and then we will click save. And if you watch, it's going to jump up to the top line and go ahead and make that edit for us. We can also click on this, this plus sign at the bottom. It gives us a whole bunch of options of things that we can do with the log itself. So we can add or remove exceptions. We can add a remark. I'll get to this in a moment. We can insert a past status, or we can change our current status. This is only here because I'm on the current day and only because I'm on the current day. So let's go ahead and insert a past status. And let's say we were actually on duty during this time. From 9:45 to 10:20, we were on duty. Our location.
Does it try to pick up the location automatically, or it has to be manually inputted?
For this, it would be manually inputted because I'm inserting a status, but otherwise it picks it up.
Okay.
Good question. We'll say driver not logged on. We'll get rid of the keyboard and then we'll click save. And you'll see that we added an on-duty event right there. The last option we have in this menu is annotate incorrect driving. This occurs if there's a driving event that goes onto a driver's log that is not theirs for some reason. This could happen in a couple fashions. It could happen with like an owner operator if a device malfunctions and throws out a speed event in the middle of the night for no reason while he's sleeping in the sleeper berth. If it's a speed event above 5 miles an hour, it's going to throw him into driving. And then once that speed event goes back to 0 and it sits there for a total of 6 minutes, it will put him on duty, not driving. Now, he will not be able to edit that driving event, even though he wasn't driving, even though the vehicle didn't move, even though there's proof through the tracking system that the vehicle never moved, the odometer never changed, any of that. You cannot shorten automatic drive time. That is a hard and fast rule with ELD. What we have been instructed to do, though, is annotate that incorrect driving. What annotate incorrect driving does is it puts a note next to the driving event as to why it is incorrect, and then it pulls it out of all of our calculations. So all those clocks I showed you before would operate as if that driving event had never happened, but it would still appear on the log. So if the driver got pulled over, that driving event would still be there. Another example of when this could happen, a driver was using a tablet. They finished their day, they went off duty, they tossed their tablet into the truck, and they left for the day. But they didn't log out, and that's important. So a mechanic comes over in the evening time, checks the truck, and says, oh, this truck is due for an oil change. So he grabs the truck, he pulls it into the mechanic bay, he does his oil change, he takes it on a short test drive to make sure nothing's leaking, comes back, everything's good to go. Well, that driver had left his tablet in the vehicle. It's connected to the ELD device and someone drove that vehicle. That driving event is going to end up on that driver's log and it's going to affect the driver's reset. So there's a couple fashions or a couple ways that incorrect driving can get onto a log. And this is how we've been instructed by the FMCSA and the CCMTA to handle incorrect driving. And then the last section we have is DVIR. So this is where you can do all of your inspections. Let's choose a post-trip inspection this time. It can be a pre, post, or ad hoc. Also, it can be done by a driver, mechanic, or somebody else. We'll say it's still the driver. We have our vehicle. We have a form pre-selected. If there wasn't a form pre-selected, you can click here and select a form. Or if you needed to change the form, you could click here and change the form as well. And then we can click inspect. Now I'm currently on my break and you need to be on duty in order to do an inspection. If I click no, it brings you to the grayed out screen in the background, but if I click yes, it's going to go ahead and put me on duty. And then it's going to bring me to the DVIR screen. And if you remember, there was an issue with the doors, and we put in a comment door bent back in place when we were on the portal side this morning. We also have the concept of a pass all button. By default, this is not enabled, but can be enabled on an account by account basis. If I click this pass all button, it's going to give me thumbs up and everything except for something that had a previous defect. We want to make sure that drivers spend extra special care or attention to something that had a previous defect reported. So we'll say the doors are okay, but maybe the headlights are not. So we can choose the headlights. We can click over here and choose whether it is minor or major. We'll leave it at major. The camera, we'll pull up the camera to take a picture of the defect. And then the message bubble is where you can enter in a report. You can either type it out, or we also have speech to text. And any pictures you take will appear in this white space, or you can click the camera here to take pictures from this location as well. Once you have performed actions upon all your inspection points in all your inspection areas, you can then click Finish at the bottom. It gives you some basic information at the top. Odometer will populate when you're connected to an ELD. We have the location. Any general comments that you want to put in here are more something that's overarching on like the entire piece of equipment, not necessarily something that pertains to an individual inspection point. Then you need to select one of these three things. The top one is typically used by the mechanic, and the bottom two are typically used by the driver. So we'll do the bottom one, condition unsatisfactory. This is what triggers our DVIR failure alert, and this is the only thing that triggers that alert. We can then click Finish because we have our signature already saved in here. We can say yes, that this is correct and true. It generates a PDF and then will bring me back to the DVIR screen. As you can see, we now have two DVIRs down here, and they are both certified. DVIRs can be either certified or in progress. In progress might happen, let's say a driver is starting their day. They go into the office, they grab all the paperwork they need, they walk out to their truck, they start their DVIR, and then their manager comes out and says, "Hey, Adam, I need to see you right away." And he says, "Okay," and gets out of the DVIR. He heads into the office. He deals with whatever he has to deal with his manager, and he comes back out here. If you click on these three dots off to the right-hand side, it gives us three options. For certified DVIRs, you can email or view it. It is not needed or required to email it. It is automatically sent back to the portal. You can view it. Maybe you're walking around the vehicle and realize you missed something upon first inspection and you want to change it. You can view it. That's going to uncertify it, and then you can change it and recertify the DVIR. If it's in progress, you can view it to pick up where you left off, or you can remove it to start over again. And we also have a DVIR history button. This is going to show you the last 30 days worth of DVIRs that have been done. If they are pink, that lets you know that there was a defect, and if they are green, it lets you know that there were no defects.
A question about mechanics correcting defects. What would be
Yes.
the best way for them to do that?
What do you, I guess
So
I don't.
let's say they fix something that was a defect from a DVIR.
Yep.
Will they have to submit their own DVIR for that unit, and then, or can they go and pick up a list that had the DVIR with a defect, and then they can correct it and resubmit that one?
So that's not possible in our current implementation, but that is coming. So that we're in the process of finishing our testing with the 3 signature DVIR. So it would have the pre, the post, the mechanic, and the pre-trip would all be on the same DVIR. But that has not been released yet. That is coming soon. And I can definitely go through a training process once that has been released. I've only seen it in beta. I haven't actually had a chance to play with it just yet. So currently the best way would be getting on the portal and signing off on it there. or doing a whole new DVIR and just saying defects corrected.
Okay.
The two options currently. Anything else? Okay. Let's go ahead and go into the navigation menu. Hours of service brings you here, DVIR, switch equipment, roadside inspection, and documents I've gone over. Fuel receipt is very similar to documents. You click add at the top. It will pull up the camera and we'll take a picture. And click OK. But it brings up a slightly different screen. And if you remember, reference and notes are optional. And as you see, all of the rest is filled out for the driver. So all they really have to do is put in gallons and cost. Odometer should also populate, but I'm not connected to an ELD device, so that's why it's not populated. And then we can click OK. We'll go back into the navigation menu. We'll go to help and support next. And this is more like frequently asked questions. So if a driver has a question on how to use the app, what something means, how do I do this, where can I find, all those answers should be answered here under help and support. And it always takes just a moment longer to pull up during screen sharing programs. But there we go. How to edit your logs, what are malfunctions in data diagnostics, how do I switch driving, what is switch drivers, what is team driving. We're going to go into main dashboard. This is available in portrait and landscape. We also have a nighttime mode. So if the app ever looks like this, that is perfectly acceptable and expected behavior in the evenings or early morning. If you have any pending edit requests, if you remember, this icon was up here in the status bar, and then this pop-up appears upon login, log out, and if you attempt to certify a log, you have to make actions upon your pending edit requests before you can certify that log. And then I'd like to show you the connection icons. I think I missed them. There they are. So this is connected, disconnected, and then flashing between these two is connecting. And one last thing I'd like to show you in the navigation menu. Under settings, if the driver ever wants to check all of their information, you would go under hours of service. It would have the driver's name, have their driver's license number and issuing state or province, the email address that they use to log in, so their username. They can change their password from here. They can create or edit their signature here. They can check their carrier information. And if we scroll down further, they can choose their lock screen style down here. Remember, there were the two options. There was time remaining until violation, and there was also the 4 clocks that I showed you. And remember, on the portal side, you could enter a PDF report recipient. That can also be done here on the app. So when you send any of those certified logs or certified DVIRs, you can pre-populate the to field for the driver, or the driver can pre-populate the to field for themselves. And that's kind of all I had on the app. Do you guys have any questions on the app before I move on to the driver's portal? Okay. So if you use your driver's credentials to log into the same URL that you use to log into the portal, it's going to bring you to a different screen. So it only gives you logs as well as certified and uncertified logs. It gives you a list here off to the left-hand side of all of your uncertified logs. As you see, I am not very good at certifying my logs, but you can go back as far as 6 months previous. I must have certified a couple logs previous to this, but it will allow you to go back up to 6 months and certify a log, edit a log, change a log, whatever needs to be done. So oftentimes when companies are coming up against an audit, this is the avenue they use to have their drivers go in and check and fix any logs that they might have outstanding. So if I wanted to look at a log, let's say the 26th, for example, we can go ahead and pull that one up. As you can see here, we have the log. We can double check it here. We can look at all of our transitions to see if that was correct. Looks good. And then we can certify it. So if we wanted to certify the 26th, we can click here to certify it, or we can click up here to certify it. We can agree that it is true and correct. And then it's going to fall off this list. As you see, we don't have one for the 26th in here anymore. So that's how you would certify or view your logs. You can also add remarks or insert past status or edit a past status as well. So there's a few different things that can be done here on the driver's portal.
So inserting a past status, would that essentially be creating a previous log?
A previous status, so it would be something on this day, but if they just needed to add a status in here somewhere, you can do that by clicking on status. So if I click on status, it's certified, so we're going to uncertify it. And then if I needed to enter in a status at, some previous time, I can do that of the day. It's the same as what I showed you this morning. So like if I wanted to put one in here for, we can do maybe at 5 o'clock. We want to enter in a status of maybe sleeper berth. And a reason, incorrect data select, entered, and then click save.
So there was a use case one of our customers asked. I'm just wondering if it can apply to this. If drivers walk in to a location and there's just a computer there, they don't have their devices on them, could they log in here and switch their current status to on duty?
Let's click on today and find out. I have never been asked that question. I'm currently on duty, so let me switch my status from the app to off duty. I know you can do it in the app, but I don't think you can do it from the computer. You would be able to add a status.
Can you add an open-ended status for
Yes,
today?
that's exactly what all of when you add statuses, they are open-ended. So I could add one for right now, which would be 312 to on duty. And I just went to off duty over here and it should pop it back down to on duty. Let's see what it shows down here. Yep, there's an on duty status for 312. It's just because we jumped to off duty and then
Mhm.
back to on duty. It's hard to see. I don't think I can blow it up any further.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So yes, that would be possible if they didn't have their device with them. And then the other button we have here is certify and uncertified logs. So if you just want to look at your list of logs and see which ones are certified and uncertified, any of them that are red are certified, any of them that are gray are uncertified. So if we wanted to certify the log, we click there, we agree that it is true and correct, and then it becomes certified. Or if we wanted to maybe do yesterday, we can agree, and then it becomes certified. And you can look at just certified or uncertified, so you can pull up all the uncertified logs or just the certified ones if you want to look at those. You can choose other date ranges as well. It's just a very simplistic version and a way for drivers to be able to get at logs that have fallen off their tablets. Because on the tablet, we only keep for your cycle on the tablet. So if it's 7 or 14 days, that's as many logs as we have on the tablet that you could certify, edit, or what have you. So if you do any edits from the portal, they do need to be done within the driver's cycle so that they have a chance to either accept or reject those edits.
Okay, so the recap would only go as far as back as the cycle.
The recap, yes.
Okay.
If a driver, let's say, lost their phone, stuck on driving, is there a way to get them off of the driving status? Like, can an admin do it from the backend portal, or?
No, but they could log in on a different device. So they could
That's
use
true.
a friend's phone and download the app and fix it.
Okay.
You can log into multiple devices. We do not suggest, I want to make this very clear, we do not suggest to log into multiple devices. But in this circumstance, it would make sense for them to do that so that they're not stuck in driving.
Okay.
Approximately how much do you think data usage is for a driver, long haul, whatever whatever type of driver, using the app for a month, let's say 250, 300 megs maybe?
It's actually around 50 to 100 megs without pictures. Pictures increase that dramatically from there on. So we usually suggest to have about 500 to be safe if they're going to be taking pictures every day with their DVIRs and documents. 500 should be plenty.
Speed above 8 kilometers per hour. How long until the status is automatically changed to driving?
Immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once you're under a speed, when you're at a speed of 0 for a total of 6 minutes and you're connected to the device the entire time, it will automatically transition you into on duty, not driving.
About 6 minutes for that, right?
That's 6 minutes, yeah. But you can transition yourself before that. The lock screen usually drops away within a few seconds of reaching a speed of 0 because we want to get, I think it's 2 speeds of 0, so within 10 seconds that lock screen should drop away, if not before then.